Welcome to Azeroth United, a weekly podcast about World of Warcraft. My name is Denethar, and I am your host. Welcome to Azeroth United. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've got a great show lined up for you. There's a lot of news about the future of World of Warcraft and Season 4 and the War Within, so we'll get into all that, as well as some details about Cataclysm Classic, Season of Discovery, and all that. So, go ahead and pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and enjoy. And as always, if you have any questions or comments about the podcast or have a particular topic that you would like to hear discussed, please email me at denethar1@gmail.com, or you can leave a voice message by going to speakpipe.com/AzerothUnited. Also, if you enjoy the show, please consider leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. That helps out our distribution tremendously, so if you're inclined to do so, we'd be very grateful. Before I get to the news, I wanted to do a quick rundown of what I got up to last week in WoW. I got my Paladin to level 34 in Season of Discovery, which is pretty exciting, because I abandoned my Druid at level 32. So, the Paladin's moving along. Did all the Duskwood quests and kind of cleaned some stuff up. It's nice going through there and not having done all these quests at max level when I was 25. Because I have a lot of things that are available to me, and the experience buff makes it just so easy. I haven't touched anything in Stranglethorn Vale yet. I haven't touched anything in Hillspread Foothills. So yeah, it's pretty wild. But I haven't even gotten to Scarlet Monastery yet. That's how fast the leveling is. So I'll be doing all that probably in the next week or two. But yeah, Season of Discovery moving along. I haven't picked up any of the Season 2 runes yet on the Paladin, but I'll get around to that. I mean, I'm not in a hurry. The guild that I'm in and on Sod is just, they're kind of chill, casual. It's a true dad guild, so. So that's Season of Discovery. In Dragonflight, I really just hit hard on the monk. I think I did 14s across the board on Mythic Plus, which, or 4s, I guess, depending on the new, the new Season 4 metric. But, no, I did plus 14s across the board, got my rating up to 1700 something. And, it's pretty fun. Mistweaver is really in a good place right now. I don't know that I'll continue playing him in Season 4. He might be a one-off, seasonal character, but, for right now, it's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. And, this is, it's good stuff. So, that's really it though. I didn't play anyone else. My warrior did not get a vault this week, nor did my demon hunter. So, or my mage. So yeah, I might, I think those characters are just going to retire for the rest of the season. So we'll see. But yeah, that's about it. I didn't really do anything else. Just those two characters. So, there's a lot going on in World of Warcraft right now. There's a lot of speculation, a lot of information, a lot of discussion about not just the future of WoW, but kind of the what's going to happen currently and what's going to happen in the new expansion, what's going to happen in SOD, Cataclysm Classic. There's so much going on, so much to talk about. So let's just get into it.
It's time for the news.
In Blizzard news, the Cataclysm Classic Beta is now live. So if you haven't signed up for that, go ahead and sign up for it. They are definitely taking people in there right now. It's a little limited. I believe it's only doing the level 1 to 80 content. So checking out the leveling content, the modifications, the old world flying and all that sort of thing, not the 80 to 85 content, not the raids, not the dungeons or anything like that, but they'll build up to it. And I think Cataclysm Classic was on the docket for early summer, so probably sometime in June or early July. So that's if you're interested in that, definitely go check that out. There will be a link in the show notes to the article from Blizzard about the Cataclysm Classic Beta, and with a link to signing up for it on your Battle.net account. as of right now, I still have not received my invite, Blizzard. But I mean, I don't even know that I'm gonna, even if I got an invite. I mean, I signed up for the beta. Here's the thing: Cataclysm is so non-classic for me because it changed the old world, and to me, that's what makes classic. It's those old zones, it's those old quests. It changed everything up. It re-leveled a lot of the old zones. I feel like this is the death of classic, and not that it's not going to continue. I'm sure we'll continue on into MoP and WoD and Legion and all that sort of thing. But this, to me, I feel like this is a turning point for Blizzard. Like, they had to do Cataclysm Classic, but do they have to do MoP? Do they have to do WoD? Do they have to? I mean, are we going to do 2.5 years of Miss Pandaria and Warlords of Draenor just so we can get to Legion? Are people really going to stick around for that? The same people who hate retail WoW, are they going to play Warlords of Draenor and sit in their garrisons for a year? Come on. Anyway, the Cataclysm Classic Beta is now live, so if you're interested in that, please check it out. In other news, the Season 3 MDI was completed this weekend, and the Guild Mandatory took down Echo in the finals. Wow. Yeah, this was exciting. I watched a lot of these matches, and I'll tell you, these teams are good, and it made for some really entertaining and exciting matches. Yeah, some of them some of these teams got whooped, but ultimately it came down to really, really clean execution from Mandatory. Echo had all the really clever strats, but they kind of fumbled in the execution. It's really exciting. Season 4 is going to see the Great Push format instead of the typical MDI format. So we will get the Great Push in Season 4 of Dragonflight, and that's going to be really exciting because now, okay, so we'll get into the dungeon changes later in the show, but suffice it to say that the level changes are going to, or the levels for the Great Push are going to be significantly different this season than they were previously. So, we'll see what ends up coming from that. But very excited about this, and can't wait to see what these teams can cook up for some of these high level runs. All right, and there's also a mention in the show notes for the Season 3 MDI, the recap that they have in there, but that's pretty much it. As far as other news goes, most of the rest of the news is related to the Hearthstone 10th anniversary, which we'll get into a little bit later. So, that's it for this. Let's just jump into what's going on this week in World of Warcraft.
Let's talk about World of Warcraft.
In Dragonflight, this is Season 3, Week 18, and we didn't get patch 10.2.6 this week, so like I thought we would, so I guess I was wrong. My apologies. But we will carry on. So Season 3, Week 18, Mythic Plus affixes for the week are Tyrannical, Volcanic, and Sanguine. Tyrannical is bosses have 30% more health and deal 15% more damage. Yeah, and you feel it too. You really feel it. The higher up you go, it hurts. It starts to hurt. Volcanic, enemies cause eruptions of flame near distant players. Additional volcanoes may appear near existing volcanoes. Yeah, volcanic is gross. It's annoying more than anything, but you just have to watch out for volcanoes and sidestep them when you can. So just watch your feet, as Deadly Boss mods will tell you. And then Sanguine, non-boss enemies leave a pool of blood on the ground. On death, the pool heals enemies and players or heals enemies and damages players for a percentage of their maximum health. Yeah. So, Sanguine is really annoying. So if you have a tank who really doesn't know how to move the mobs or can't anticipate and they're constantly reacting, they're gonna take a lot of damage to Sanguine, and the mobs are gonna get a lot of healing from Sanguine. So as a tank, you need to be ready to move And once the Sanguine pool pops up, you should have already moved. So if you haven't, then yeah, you're behind. So yeah, this is a good week as long as you're paying attention and your group knows their roles and understands the composition. If you don't know what you're doing and you're just kind of winging it because somebody said this is an easy Tyrannical week, you are going to suffer. It is going to be miserable. So because you can't do anything out of Sanguine except for pull them out of it, pull the mobs out of it. So, yeah, just be ready for that and be aware that, yeah, Sanguine is easy to deal with, but you have to deal with it. The bonus event this week is Warlords of Draenor Time Walking. You can pick up the sign of, or you will get the sign of Iron buff, which increases reputation from combat and quests by 50% for Warlords of Draenor reputation. So if you're looking for that reputation for whatever reason, this is the week for you. You can also pick up the quest A Savage Path Through Time from Khazra and Valdrakken, which asks you to defeat 5 time-walking dungeons, and you will get rewarded with a piece of a Mirdrasil normal gear. So that'll be a champion piece, 454 to 463. Yeah, I mean, this isn't super compelling if you've got your main and you're already decked out to the nines, but if you've got that alt that is sitting around in adventure and veteran gear, this is really exciting and really compelling. So run it on your alts, or run through it with your friend who just joined WoW or just came back to WoW or whatever. That's really what the time walking is best at. The PvP brawl this week is Deepwind Dunk. So you can go into Deepwind Gorge, and it just changes around the format a little bit. I haven't done this one yet, so I couldn't tell you. I've heard that it's really fun, but yeah, I haven't done this one. But make sure you pick up the quest Something Different, which is to win a PvP brawl, and you'll get rewarded with Conquest, Honor, and Marks of Honor. All right. Moving on, the Ungoro Madness event will take place on March 17th through the 19th. It's just the dinosaurs in Ungoro are getting restless. Time to go pay them a visit. Yeah, you just go around, you kill dinosaurs. It's like the Cobalt Assembly where you get buffs. So you're going to get buffs when you kill the dinosaurs, and the more you kill, the more buffs you get. And you don't really get anything out of it. It's just kind of a fun little thing. So if you're looking for something kind of off the wall to do for no reason other than to have a good time, you get to Discord with your friends and you all yell at each other because you're 5 drinks in. Great, have a good time. If you're looking for something to do to get gear, this is not the thing for you. So yeah, that's yeah, the Hearthstone 10th anniversary event started yesterday. Yesterday, and it's going to continue until the 18th. So you can also pick up the Fiery Hearthsteed mounts by logging into Hearthstone from now until May something. I don't have that written down, unfortunately, but it's in May. So if you do it this week, you're good. All you have to do is log in, and you'll get the Fiery Hearthsteed. It's just like the Hearthsteed that you got 10 years ago for logging into Hearthstone, and I think you had to win 3 battles. Anyway, but this is the fiery version of it. All you have to do is log in, and then you can log out. You don't actually have to do any matches. You just have to log in, and then you'll get them out. In addition, so this event has been kind of chaotic since it launched on live servers. But the long and the short of it is there's a boss that spawns every hour on the hour. It is now spawning in 3 different locations, Orgrimmar, Stormwind, and Valdrakken, or just outside of the city, in 2 of those. The boss will drop several items that are going to be the more desired items for players. Those include the Compass Rose mount, which is like a disc mount that you can fly on. That's the Hearthstone logo. The Collector's Carryall, which is a 36 slot bag. Sarge the mouse pet. That it's a combat pet that you can use for pet combat. The Hearthstone game table toy. And the Stone of the Hearth toy, which is a new Hearthstone toy, which, yeah. So you get a Hearthstone toy from the Hearthstone event, so you can use that as your Hearthstone. Good job. You can also get some transmog. You can get a couple of hats, a belt, and a tabard. So, yeah, this is one of those events that's it's really cool. And if you're looking for something to do and you're really not looking to run Raid or M+ or anything this week, go do the Hearthstone event. It's just a fun little thing, and wait for the boss, and you don't need to sit there all day. Maybe the boss will drop one or two of the things. If you really want to get all of the items, then yeah, go for it. But if you're just kind of curious about, what's this event? Then it's fine. Because there will be portals in the cities to take you to the locations where the boss is. So, I haven't done this yet, but just reading through it, it's like, okay, well, this is fine. I might check it out today or tomorrow or the next day, but it's not a high priority for me because, while I like collecting the mounts, that's not a huge motivator for me to do something. If I go, I don't want to do that, and somebody goes, well, there's a mount, that's not going to change my mind. I'm like, well, I still don't want to do it. But anyway, check it out, Hearthstone. I can't believe it's been 10 years already. 10 years already. I have played Hearthstone a few times, and I always get bored of it really fast because honestly, I don't like the one-on-one format of it. And I know there's different game modes that I haven't tried out because I haven't played Hearthstone for several years now, but I know there's different game modes that don't require you to play against an opponent, but I'm just not interested in that. And so this is not for me, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be for me. It's like Marvel movies. Not all of them are for you. Just because it's a Marvel movie doesn't mean it has to be marketed towards you. So just, let Captain Marvel have her time. All right. Okay. Hot fixes for the week. So we had some class tuning that went live today. Let's see. Resto Druids, Rejuvenation Healing increased by 12%. Cool. Preservation Evokers. Okay, so this is really big for me because I have an Evoker and I wanted to play him Preservation, but I couldn't do it. It was so frustrating and I was so unhappy doing it. So I switched him to Og, which has its own set of problems. And so I basically just abandoned him twice now. Once in season 2 and once in season 3. But what they say here is preservation has been underutilized lately, in part due to the range restrictions of the specialization. To help compensate for that, we're increasing the healing and defensiveness of preservation so they can traverse the battlefield more easily and safely. Okay. Time of Need clones overall healing increased by 100%. Time of Need clones Living Flame healing increased by 16%. Life Giver's Flame heals for 40-80% of damage done, was 35-70%. Inherent Resistance reduces magic damage taken by 4-8%, was 2-4%. Attuned to the Dream increases healing done or received by 3-6%, was 2-4%. I mean, these changes are okay, but I don't know. I think Preservation needs a full rework. I don't think it was very well implemented. Whoever designed Preservation, I don't think they play a healer, honestly. I think they just had the regular Evoker person just do a healing spec. It's just not fun. It's not fun, and it's just frustrating when you get into a group and you're constantly feeling like you're behind. Anyway, all right. Marksman Hunters, all damage increased by your pets and your abilities increased by 3%. Just a flat increase. Survival, same thing, 3% increase. Now, it's interesting that the tooltip for marksmanship says all damage dealt by you and your pets abilities increased by 3% when marksman doesn't have a pet. But anyway, okay, mages, frost, flurry damage increased. Okay, so we got flurry, water bolt, and water jet from your pet. Frostbolt and Ice Lance damage all increased. Okay, I love playing a frost mage, but the damage felt very weak. So this is great. This is really good because it increases the single target damage, which is what I needed. So because that's where the frost mage is going to be the best. So yeah, awesome. Mistweaver Monk, all healing reduced by 6%. Aww. Shayloon's Gift healing increased by 6%. Yes. Jadefire Stomp healing and damage increased by 6%. Okay. And Expel Harm healing increased by 6%. Okay, I like that. Because honestly, I hate to say this because I'm playing a monk right now, but honestly, the Ancient Teachings healing is just too good. It's too good. You need the monks to stop and cast a heal every once in a while. Otherwise, all you stand there and just spam spinning crane kick. All right, rogue subtlety, eviscerate damage increased by 6%. Or I'm sorry, eviscerate damage reduced by 6%, and elemental shaman, all damage increased by 3%. Okay, cool. There's also some PvP hotfixes in here, which I will not read because I'm not doing PvP. So yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for that. All right, so we're gonna get into something new, which we're gonna talk about this dungeon post that Blizzard made, and we'll kind of talk about some of the ramifications for that. So, all right,
let's talk about something new.
All right, let's talk about this blog post for the dungeon changes that are coming in Dragonflight Season 4. Okay, so first off, they acknowledge that there are some difficulties in the current setup wherein normal and heroic kind of feel like the same thing. Mythic 0 loses relevance pretty quickly in the beginning of an expansion, and then has almost no relevance throughout each season. And yeah, I've seen this. There's no reason to run. I'd rather run a heroic than a Mythic 0, honestly. There's no point in running Mythic 0. Mythic 0 currently drops adventurer level gear, so there's really no there's no point for it. Okay, so what they're going to do is normal is going to stay the same. Okay. Heroic is going to move up to the difficulty of Mythic, but without the Mythic changes. So the boss damage, health, ability damage, things like that, those will all go up to the Mythic level, but not the Mythic specific changes that are going to be in there. So it'll be the heroic abilities for the bosses, but with Mythic damage. I guess that makes sense. And then the rewards will scale up to the Mythic level rewards, which is pretty cool. And heroic will continue to be queuable through the random dungeon finder. So you'll still be able to get in there, get your random dungeon finder gear in heroic level. So a really good starter, a new alt, or new player even. This would be a really good change. Mythic 0 is going to increase in difficulty to around equivalent to a plus 10 Mythic Plus dungeon. And the reason that they say around plus 10 is because the boss damage and health will be equivalent to a plus 10, but there's no timer, no affixes. You can change your spec, talents, all that stuff. So it's kind of a more chill Mythic Plus, but with rewards that are going to be equivalent to a Mythic Plus dungeon. It says the goal is to create a mega dungeon-like difficulty for this experience. This difficulty should present a meaningful challenge and provide commensurate rewards without the pressures of the current Mythic Plus system. And it will still be on a weekly lockout. And so I'm assuming that Heroic will be on a daily lockout if you enter the dungeon manually. But if you queue through the random dungeon finder, Heroic will still be, as you can run it as many times as you want. Okay. And so these changes are all going to apply to the original 8 Dragonflight dungeons. It doesn't say anything about the Dawn of the Infinite. So it's possible that that's going to scale for Mythic as well, but not for Mythic Plus. So we'll see. They weren't really clear on that. And sometimes with these blog posts, they have to go back and clarify because I think in their minds, things make sense. But to us players, we just want every detail now. Give us all the details. All right. For Mythic Plus, and this is where it gets fun. The Mythic Plus system will have rewards up to level 10, with plus 2 starting from what would regularly be a plus 11 in the current Mythic Plus system. A plus 5 should be as hard as a plus 15, and plus 10 should be as hard as a plus 20. The affixes will be in at 2, 5, and 10. So at 2, we'll get Fortified or Tyrannical. 5 will be Entangling, Incorporeal, Afflicted, etc. And plus 10 will be Bursting, Bolstering, Raging, that sort of thing. Dungeon ratings should be equivalent to what they represent in the current system. There should be a smaller range of keystone levels to find groups for, and more meaningful progression between each level. Okay, so what this means is, if you're currently running 15s, 16s, 17s, in Season 4, you're going to be running 5, 6, 7s. Plus 10 will add the third affix, so you won't have to deal with Spiteful until you get to a plus 10. And plus 10 is the highest level for the rewards, so people who are currently pushing 24s, 25s, 26s, they're going to be running 14s, 15s, 16s instead. So this is very interesting, and I'm assuming the portal will be level 10. As far as the rewards for the dungeons, let's see, there's a chart here. So basically, normal dungeons will continue to offer Explorer 3 gear. So currently that's item level 421. In Season 4, that's going to be item level 460. All right. For Heroic Dungeons, they currently offer Adventurer 1, which is item level 428. And they're going to now move up to where Mythic 0 is, which is Adventurer 4, which is going to be item level 476. So Heroic Dungeons getting a nice big jump. So then currently we have Mythic 2 through 8, which offer Veteran rewards for the end of the dungeon. There will be no Veteran for Mythic Plus. Mythic Plus will start in Champion. So the way it's going to work is Mythic 0 will reward, or the bosses will drop Champion 1, which is going to be item level 493. To give you a frame of reference, that's currently item level 454. Then Mythic Plus 2 will drop 496. Mythic Plus 3 and 4, 499. Mythic Plus 5 and 6, 502, etc. Those are all champion level. Then Mythic Plus 7 is going to drop Hero Gear. And Mythic 0 is going to get Hero Gear in the Great Vault. So if you run 8 Mythic Zeros every week, you will have 3 vault slots full of hero item gear, which is crazy. I mean, yeah, those dungeons are going to be harder, sure, but there's no timer. I feel like the competitive nature of Mythic Plus is going to be eliminated, and this is going to be a more collaborative effort between a group of 5 people. Now, you're still going to have to use the group finder to get into a Mythic 0, which means you've got to put yourself out there, you've got to form a group, you got to travel to the dungeon, you got to do all the things that you're currently doing for a Mythic Plus, but you will get better rewards. It'll be more of a challenge, but there's no timer, there's no affixes. You can change your talents, whatever. Oh, we need to interrupt for this boss, let me switch my talents real quick. That's going to be nice. And if you get in with the right group, you could even say, all right, let me switch to my single target for this boss. Let me switch to my AoE for this trash. Oh, that's going to be nice. And I really do hope that Dawn of the Infinite is included in this, their Mythic Zero, because that means that if you run Dawn of the Infinite every week, you'll have a chance to get champion drops from the bosses and a hero item from the vault, which there's going to be some of those drops are still going to be really useful in Season 4. The Tear Stone, the staff, a couple of other pieces in there, but yeah, this is very exciting. So the fact that it goes to Mythic 10 is going to be the new 20. So, oh my god, 10 is the new 20, guys. And the item level stack is going to be it's going to make a lot of sense when you look at it. Whereas right now, there's so many numbers going all the way up to 20. It's just, it's too much. It's too much to keep track of. You need a chart to keep track of what drops what item level. Now, if I run a 6, I'm going to get champion. Anything above a 6, I'm going to get hero. That's pretty easy to figure out. And for your Great Vault, you'll either get hero or myth. If you run all +2s for the week, you go in and you do all +2 mythic dungeons for the week, you will get all hero in your vault. No more of this champion nonsense. No more crappy. So Mythic Plus is going to be truly end game, and it's basically going to be equivalent to normal and heroic raid. So your drops will be about normal into heroic, and then your Great Vault will be heroic into mythic raid. So this is crazy. I feel like this goes against the complaint that Mythic Plus feels required for raiders. I feel like it's going to be even more so now. You're going to have raiders who are going to be required to do their +10s every week. Or I guess you could do a +8 and you'll get a myth piece in your vault. So, yeah, if you're a raider, you have to do at least +8s across the vault. So 8 +8s every week. So you can make sure you get all the choices for a myth slot. They did also kind of clarify some things with like flight stones. So flight stones will still be given for dungeons, and they're going to be about what you're getting right now. So if you do a 2, you're going to get about the number that you get currently for a 12, and so on. The bonus flight stones will stay the same. You won't get Whelp Crest anymore from Mythic Plus. You won't even get Drake Crests from Mythic Plus. You'll get Worm Crests from 2 to 5, and you'll have Aspect Crests from 6 and up. Mythic 0 will be Drake Crests, and you'll get 10 of them. Yeah, this is, I feel like Drake Crests, if you level up a new character, Drake Crests are going to be hard to get. Yeah, because you could get 80 a week from doing M0s, and then I guess you have to do your seeds in the Emerald Dream. Yeah, this is a pretty big change, and they are clarifying that this is the way going forward, not just for Season 4, but for 11.0. So the War Within, this is the way that Mythic Dungeons are going to be. I really like this change. I think it's good. We are getting another 39 item level bump in Season 4, which I don't like, which means that my characters who are currently sitting in the 460 to 470 range, that's basically adventurer gear in Season 4. So unless I have some 480s, yeah, I'm just going to replace everything right away. Which, that doesn't feel great. I don't like having to replace everything right off the bat. But if I have a brand new character, it would be nice to be able to say, hey, I can jump right into this content by doing outdoor world activities, the time rifts, I'm assuming that sort of thing will get scaled up. They don't want the outdoor world to become stagnant like happened in Shadowlands. So, but yeah, we'll see. One other interesting thing that I didn't point out is that heroic dungeons are going to, so you'll get adventurer gear in your, so you get adventurer 4 from the dungeon and veteran 4 from the Great Vault. So if, like I said, if you have a brand new character and you're just going to spam heroics, you can fill up your vault with veteran 4 out of 8, which is going to be item level 489. So again, it's a good starting point. The raids seem like they're going to be untouched with this, so it'll be the same thing. Raid Finder will drop veteran gear, normal will drop champion gear, etc. The other thing that's really interesting with this is that because the portals are now going to be level 10, there's not as huge of a spread between somebody who can run a 5 and somebody who can run a 10. I feel like overall as a community, WoW players are going to kind of smooth that gap over. And so Mythic Plus is going to become more of a, hey, this is true endgame, not, oh, go run a 2, it's easy. It's, all right, we'll start with a 2, but it's going to be a challenge. You're going to have to work hard, and you're going to have to earn whatever. And the other thing is that unless you're doing 10s, if you want to do just 1 8 so you can get a myth slot in your vault, then you'll never see the third affix. So you'll never get bolstering, bursting, raging, spiteful, or sanguine, which is kind of nice. I hate spiteful. I hate spiteful and I hate bursting. The others don't really bother me so much. I mean, they're annoying, but like bolstering, it's like, okay, the mobs hit harder. Oh no. Or sanguine, it's like most tanks like to drag the mobs anyway, so I don't really care about that. And honestly, at this point, I'm like, I don't know who I'm going to play in Season 4. You know, my monk is currently at 1760. So I'll get him to 2,000 so he can get his KSM. And then I'm probably done for the season, honestly. And then I've got to go through and figure out who do I want to play. Who do I want to play in Season 4? Because it might not be the monk. It might not be. I mean, I'm going to play my Fury Warrior. Yeah. So this is the new change that's going in. Still no word on what's gonna happen with like delves and things like that in the War Within, but I'm assuming we'll get that information as we go. I would figure that delves are going to kind of slot into the Veteran 4 through Hero 1 range. So about equivalent to from like a Heroic Dungeon Great Vault rewards to about Mythic 0 Great Vault rewards. I feel like that's about where Delves should fit in. Anything more than that, and those would be considered BIS for gearing. But if you can get one hero piece a week from doing Delves, I think that makes sense in your vault. I think that makes a lot of sense. So, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm sure we're going to get a lot more information about this because the alpha will be showing up soon, or at least it should. And we'll get patch 10.2.6 hopefully next week. I know everyone thought it was going to be this week, but it was not. They really were just doing server maintenance. So, so this is pretty exciting. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more analysis on this and a discussion about what it means. But the reality is, this is big for the future of World of Warcraft and the War Within. And Blizzard has said they're going to use the Season 4 kind of bonus season as a way to try things out. And this is definitely, that fits that description. So pretty exciting. I'm sure that most people can't wait to get back into No Code Offensive or Bracken Hide Hollow. So enjoy Season 4. And there you go.
It's time for the weekly rant.
All right. So I wanted to talk about this. So we a couple weeks ago we talked about the rating post from Dobie, or from the Guild Nascent, and he brought up a lot of good points, and his discussion was specifically about mythic rating, and it really got me to think about the state of rating in general in World of Warcraft, and how rating almost kind of feels like it's like the grandfathered end game. And what I mean by that is everybody does Mythic Plus. Mythic Plus is the generally accepted common end game for all WoW players. Some WoW players also raid. But Mythic Plus is the end game. Now, do you get the best gear from Mythic Plus? I mean, you can. Once per week, you can get a myth slot in your vault. Versus if you're in a Mythic raiding guild, you'll get maybe even multiple myth pieces a week. But I feel like more and more raiding has become limited in its ability to captivate the WoW fan base. And what I mean by that is people aren't interested in raiding high level or hard content. Back in vanilla, and I know that makes me sound like a boomer. Well, back in my day, back in vanilla, if you wanted to raid, you had to go into a raid. That was it. Here's the raid. Go. And somewhere along the way, we started introducing 20-player raids instead of 40-player raids. And then in the Burning Crusade, we got 10-player raids instead of 25-player raids, blah, blah, blah. It all came to a head in the Icecrown Citadel patch because we had hard modes in Ulduar. And then in Trial of the Grand Crusader, we had the Trial of the Grand Crusader version, which was a harder version of the raid. But ultimately in Icecrown was where we got the true heroic version of the raid. So you could switch the difficulty from normal to heroic. That was kind of the key for switching that around. And the thing is, when Blizzard introduced the raid difficulties, so we got in Cataclysm, we got introduced the Raid Finder. I was going to say looking for raid. It's the Raid Finder. It's Raid Finder now. So we got Raid Finder in Cataclysm. We got Mythic Raid in Myth Pandaria. And actually, no, I don't think we got Mythic Raid in Myth Pandaria. I think we got Flex Raid in Myth Pandaria. And then we got Mythic Raid in Warlords of Draenor. It doesn't really matter. But the point is, we iterated on the rating system and created what we currently have today, which is Raid Finder, Normal, Heroic, Mythic. Now, it's not a simple 1, 2, 3, 4 for that. because the difference between normal and raid finder is vastly different than the difference between heroic and mythic. So if you were to look at raiding as a kind of, if you were going to make WoW today, how would you make raiding different? And would you have raiding be the central focus of your content? Because whether it's 20 players or 25 or 40 or 30 or whatever it is, organizing more than 5 players together is complicated. And I know people will poo-poo it and say, oh, no, it's easy. All you have to do is put up sign-ups and people who sign up, and then you just go. And yes, I know. And I'm sure that there are many guilds that have it super easy, and they just go, and whoever signs up, and then you just do the... But the key here is that raiding takes organization. You have to have a Discord. You have to have a raid leader. You have to have officers. You have to have a loot system. There has to be a way to manage your raid. And that takes work. It's outside work. It's things that are not existing in the game. And yes, you can run need or greed on loot for a raid. But especially for a mythic raiding guild, you're going to want something a little more deterministic, where you can say, okay, we're not going to give the BIS trinket to the recruit who just signed up, who happened to roll the highest roll. That doesn't make any sense. Let's give it to the person who's been here every week for the last 9 weeks, and they haven't gotten anything for the last 5 weeks because they've maxed all their gear, and the one thing they need is his trinket. Okay, let's give it to them. So you give them the trinket. The problem with raiding is that there then becomes no incentive for this person who is now, air quote, done, to continue. And this goes back to Dobby's original post, or Dobby's original post. I keep calling him Dobby, like from Harry Potter. From Dobby's original post of farming raids. Once you're done, there's no incentive to farm. So if I'm getting gear and I get that last piece of gear, oh, I finally got that last piece of gear, I'm done. Why would I go next week? I did it. I'm done. There's no Raider IO for raiders. It's for mythic players. Which is odd. But there's no Raider ranking. There's not like, oh, well, this team beat the raid on +3 difficulty. They beat the raid on +9 difficulty. No, they beat the raid. Done. They were done. They did the thing. Okay. There's no way you can go up from there. And I'm not saying everything in WoW needs to be a competitive ranking system. I'm saying there's no incentive for these players to continue playing. And more to the point, and this is really what I want to focus on here, is that raiding itself has become almost secondary to the player improvement process. And by that I mean what other players look at to go, wow, you did this? It's not raiding, it's Mythic Plus. If somebody did a 32, you look at them and you go, wow, you did a 32? If somebody did Mythic Raid, you go, wow, you did Mythic Raid, that's cool. That's nice. It doesn't carry the same import. It gives you the best gear. Like, you're not getting better gear in a 32 than you are in a Mythic Raid, but that gives you it gives you name recognition. It gives you, people are looking at your armory profile or your Raider IO profile. Raiding has lost its luster, and Blizzard won't let it go. I think Mythic Raid and the Raid World First, while it generates a lot of interest and excitement during the time, when it's done, raiding is essentially over. Because while guilds are still going to go and do it and clear the bosses for the first few weeks, the guilds have already decided how far they're going to go. A guild knows we're a mythic raiding guild. We're a heroic raiding guild. We're a normal raiding guild. They know what they are. And even if you say we're a normal raiding guild, but we're going to clear the first 4 bosses on heroic, you could do that. You could go in there and in a Mirdrasil today if you're a normal raiding guild and you could say, we're going to clear Gnarlroot and Gira, Volcross, and Council, you could do that. Hell, you could even throw Larodar in there. And you could do 5 out of 9. You're not killing Nimue if you're not serious about it. So, and that's fine. That's fine, because the point is, you just did 5 out of 9. That's more than half. So now what? Are you a heroic raiding guild? Do you have to kill Farak to be a whatever difficulty raiding guild? So anyway, I think if you look at the player base, there are people who raid for the love of raiding. I want to do the encounters. I care about following the mechanics. I care about going through and programming these weak auras and getting the correct add-ons and making sure everything is set up correctly so we can do this raid. And there are people that's what they want to do. And that's fine. For me, it's always been, I want to do the raid and I want to be able to say, hey, I did the raid at this difficulty. Cool. Whether it's normal or heroic. I mean, honestly, I'd prefer to do heroic, but that takes a lot of effort and that takes a lot of commitment. And I don't have that level of commitment available to me. I can't commit to a guild for weeks and weeks on end, continuously progging on these fights. I don't have that amount of time available to me in a consistent way. Could I raid for 3 weeks in a row? Yes. Am I going to have trouble the 4th, 7th, 9th, 12th, and 15th? Yes, I am. Or whatever. So is raiding broken? No. Raiding is not broken. Mythic raiding is difficult. It's supposed to be difficult. It should be difficult. It should be the most difficult thing in the game. And it should reward the most sought after gear in the game. And it does not. Because you can get gear from a mythic now in season 4, it's going to be a mythic 10 that will rival a mythic raid. You could get gear from a mythic 8 that will rival the raid. That is going to be weird for raiders. When you look at how much effort you're putting into raid, mythic raid. We're not talking heroic, we're talking mythic. And you go, well, I could just go run some 8s and get the same level of gear in my vault. Yeah. Well, why don't I do that? Yeah, okay, you can't get 4 pieces in a week. That's true, you can't. But what if you're in a guild that's working on the 2nd boss or the 3rd boss? How many pieces of loot do you think you're going to get in a week? Maybe 1? Maybe? Probably 0. Whereas if you run +8s, you're going to get guaranteed a myth slot in your vault. Now, is it going to be something you can use? Well, I don't know. But you could run 4 +8s and get 2 myth slots. You could run 8 +8s and get 3 myth slots. Then you're pretty much guaranteed to get an upgrade because, I mean, I'm telling you, if you've got 3 myth slots already, well, I think you're pretty much well on your way. The point is, what benefit does raiding give over Mythic Plus? Other than it gives a little bit more of the best gear. It doesn't give better gear, it just gives a little bit more of it. You have the potential to get a little bit more of the gear. That's it. That is it. There's not even a prestige anymore because the prestige comes in your Raider IO number and your gear and your item level. Gear score. What is this, Wrath of the Lich King Classic? Come on, bro. Your item level. So in Season 3, if you've got a 486 item level and a 3000 rating, that's all people care about. Do they care if you have killed Farak 7 times? No. They just want to know if you've done it once. Do you have AOTC? Yes. Okay, then you're in. That's it. They look at your rating, they look at your item level, and they look at your achievements to see if you've killed Farak at least 1 time. That's it. Those are your requirements for getting in. And do you fill a role that they need and stuff like that? Yes. But at a high level, they're just looking at those things. Somebody with a 2800 rating and a 476 item level, you go, no, I don't want that person. I want pumpers. And so you go, okay, well, this person has a 486 item level and a 2500 score. Well, why haven't they been doing more stuff? Why is their rating so low, right? And etc. But item level accounts for a lot. In fact, I think item level is probably the most important thing when it comes to picking people up. You can set your minimum item level, and that's really what people care about. Well, we don't want no 470s in here. We want 480 plus. Nobody is saying I need 2850 plus. Nobody cares what your Mythic Plus score is when it comes down to it. It's about your item level. Then your Mythic Plus score, then how many times, and then whether or not you've killed the boss. And then if they're desperate, how many times you've killed the boss. So really, what this boils down to is, what is your number? And can you fudge your item level? Yeah, you absolutely can. Craft a bunch of shitty gear? Sure. Can you put off-spec items or non-BIS stats on to bump your item level? Yeah, you can. Do people really care? No, they don't. Now, if you get into a heroic raid and you say, I've killed Farrak, but you don't know what you're doing on a Gira, you're probably going to get kicked. But the point is, it's not about the raid progress. It used to be, have you killed this boss this many number of times? And now it's, what is your score? What is your item level? Done. Now, what's the fix for this? How do we fix this situation where raiding has kind of taken a back seat? Despite the best efforts from Blizzard to not let it take a back seat. It's in the back seat. I guarantee you it's in the back seat. How do you fix it? Well, for one thing, you need to give raiding something that you can't get anywhere else. And I don't just mean this particular piece of gear. I mean some sort of prestige that people go, oh, well, you've done the raid, huh? Well, that's impressive. Right now, nobody cares. So what do you give people to give them some prestige? Is it a cosmetic item? Is it a mount? I mean, you could do that. Is it some sort of monetary reward or something? Maybe a certain currency that you can use, like so we're going to get the dinar in season 4. Maybe it's something like that. You can go buy whatever you want, but people won't be able to see that. And really, what it boils down to is there's not a really good way to show off what you've done in game. You used to stand in Ironforge or sit on your mount, on your epic mount in Ironforge during vanilla, and people will come up to you and inspect you because you were wearing not season 2, tier 2 gear from Blackwing Lair. Ooh, fancy. Okay, so what's the tier 2 equivalent for modern WoW? How do we know? How do we look at someone and go, damn, this guy's a badass? Or, how do we identify what person has the skills that we need based on their past accomplishments? So we could look at their Warcraft logs. Okay. But even that is subjective, right? You got to look at the logs and then process it and go, what does this mean? Well, did they parse? What is their parse number? Okay, it's this. What does that mean? There's no identification in there. But if I said, hey, I'm a 462 and I want to get into Heroic Raid, that's a known variable. People are going to go, no, that's too low. Well, who decided that? Nobody decided it. It's just too low. It's just, it doesn't feel good based on the numbers in the game and based on what I've seen and blah, 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 blah. The number for healers is different. The number for tanks is different. For tanks, it might be a little bit lower than for DPS because they go, well, we need tanks, right? But do you need tanks in raid? It seems like there's always an abundance of tanks. If anything, I'd say the tanks have the highest bar to entry for raid. Okay, what about healers? Healers always seem to be lacking. I feel like every time I get into a pug, they go, we're just waiting on a couple healers. Okay, that's fine. So it doesn't matter one way or the other, but the point is, what can you give players to let other people know that they're a badass? Like, hey, this woman is so badass, she did all these things. Cool. I didn't know that. Now I know that she's a badass. But how do you identify that? How do you put that into the game? How do you implement something of that magnitude? And how do you get everyone in the community to agree on it? You know, Blizzard put the item level in the game as a response to the gear score and other such add-ons over the years. So they finally said, fine, here, you can just see it. Is it that simple? Do we just need something that says, hey, this player was number 1 DPS on Farok, and there's something in your character that shows that? Or they were top dispeller for this fight. They were the number 1 buff maintainer. They kept their buffs up the entire raid. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I just know that it's a question that needs an answer, and we don't have one today because raiding is basically just being abandoned by Blizzard. And yes, raiding will always be the pinnacle of WoW. We're not going to have the Race to World first Mythic Plus. No, Race to World first, raid. Okay, I get it. Yes, it's prestigious. But once the Race to World first is over, if you weren't part of that group, then nobody cares about it, right? This isn't like, hey, I was, back in the old days, there was a, first level 80 on the server, first level or first trade skill, whatever on the server. That was the thing. You could hang your hat on it and be like, I was the number 1 for this expansion or whatever it is. But there's nothing like that in the game. They would have to introduce a completely new system of measuring performance and ability and, I guess, tenacity for being able to get through all this stuff in game. You would have to have some way of tracking it in game, which means we're back to Raider IO being something for Raiders and not just for Mythic Plusers. So, is there an answer? I don't see one right now. I really don't. I feel like raiding has become its own thing, separate from the player base in WoW. And getting into a raid is mostly just for, hey, I got to see the raid, and less about, I need this loot upgrade. Because players go into normal raid, they don't need that gear. They might need one trinket. But honestly, with the new gear upgrade system, you get something in normal raid and you go, I got the champion version. This sucks. At least give me the hero version, right? Well, no, you're not getting hero unless you do heroic raid, which is bizarre because you could also get hero in the vault for a +2. So what are we doing? What are we doing? It's weird. All right. I could ramble on and on and on about this forever. But the point is, raiding needs change. Raiding needs a perception change by the community. We need the community to be able to look at raiding and say, this is the pinnacle of WoW. Or make it not be the pinnacle of WoW. Say, you know what, raiding is just not what it used to be. That's for chumps. So go do your raid, that's fine, but let me know when you're ready to do some real endgame Mythic Plus. Because if that's what you want to make the endgame, fine. I don't care. Just stop trying to pretend like raiding is something that it's not. Stop trying to pretend like it's impressive when honestly it's not. Because most people aren't going to do Mythic Raid. And if you've done 3 Mythic bosses, nobody cares. There you go. Everybody could do that. And you know what? They're probably right. But if you've done +23s, people go, oh, not bad. That's actually pretty good. So, yeah, and that those numbers are going to change, obviously. 23 is going to become a 13 and whatever. But the point is, whatever it takes for players to achieve these goals, it doesn't really matter the specifics, but it's how do we respond to them once they've gotten to their goal? Do we go, hey, you raided, so you're done with WoW? No. Hey, you did all your +20 portals, you're done. I could see a case being made for that, because by that point, you're already Keystone Hero. You've got your rating probably pretty high, probably in the late 2800s or close to 3000. So I don't know. I don't know. The whole thing is just it's a big question. There's several questions, but really there's a lot of questions that we don't have answers to. So, will Blizzard fix this? I don't know. But seeing this dungeon post got me really thinking, because I feel like players are going to be more vulnerable to this upgrade system than ever before. And I love the upgrade system, don't get me wrong. But let's just be clear, the upgrade system is contributing to this problem. Because all you have to do is get champion 1 out of 8, and you can upgrade that all the way to, in Season 3, you can go all the way up to 476. That's 13 item levels from endgame, from the highest item level you can get. So if you get a hero piece, now you're going to 483. How many people have full 489? Not many. Not many do. In fact, it's better off if you don't, because you can have crafted items in there, and crafted items can only go to 486. So, all right. Anyway, I've rambled enough on this topic. Rating needs a fix. Blizzard, get on it. I would like to be able to say, hey, I did the raid, and have people go, wow, that's really cool. I'm impressed by that. Not, so, I did on 7 tunes last week. What's the big whoop? I want there to be some sort of accomplishment from raid. I want there to be some sort of way of tracking it, and I want it to mean something. And I don't want it to be competing with Mythic Plus for, like, it's okay if they're tracked separately or, 2 separate things, but why don't they have their own score? Why don't you have a rating score and a Mythic Plus score? Why wouldn't we do that? Instead, we've got one rating, which only counts for Mythic Plus, and it's called Raider. It's the Raider IO website. So, what is your Mythic Plus score, or rating score? I don't know. Anyway, all right. That's the rant. I'm sorry. I'm just, this is so frustrating to me, because I've done rating for so many expansions, and this one in particular has really got me down. I didn't even get into the whole, I had this whole thing planned that I was going to talk about, which is the fact that Dragonflight has the lowest number of raid bosses of any expansion ever. They are the lowest. 26 total bosses. 26. Even WoD had 30. Cataclysm had 28. So what are we doing here? Is Dragonflight the worst expansion ever? Because it doesn't feel like it. It feels like one of the best. But the rating sucked. It was terrible. Everything else in Dragonflight was good. Well, and the story wasn't great, but a lot of that negative story came from the raid. The raids were truncated. We know they were truncated. Now, Blizzard will never admit it, but come on. They had a whole story written out. There's no way that when they pitched Dragonflight 3, 4, whatever years ago it was, that somebody was like, yeah, and Farak can be the last boss. And they all went, yeah. No. There was no way. They changed the story because Chris Metzen came back and he said, nah, this story sucks. Let's carry Eridicron onto the next expansion. And so they did. So they made Farak the last boss. They cut off Season 4 and turned it into this weird amalgamation of, yeah, let's do a bunch of stuff. And then we're going to change Mythic Plus around because we're going to test it for the War Within. That's fine. But, yeah. This is not how Dragonflight was intended to go. I guarantee you that. So, anyway, all right, let's wrap it up here. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. As always, it's been a true honor and a privilege to be able to talk at you about World of Warcraft, which is one of my favorite topics. Honestly, I really have enjoyed doing this podcast. We hit our episode 25 milestone last week, which was very, very cool for me. I didn't do a big deal about it because honestly, it's only 25. It's not 250 or 300 or whatever. But I might, I might jump in and do like a big deal if I can get to 50 or something like that. Yeah, maybe I'll do a big deal for that. Yeah, thank you so much for listening. If you want to contact me, if you want to talk about the show, or if you have a topic you'd like me to discuss, or if you have a question for the show, you can reach me at denethar1@gmail.com, or you can reach out to me on X Twitter. I am at Denethar. You can also occasionally catch me streaming, although I haven't been streaming recently because my computer's been having some weird fan issues. So my fan is really loud, so I need to move my computer to another part of my desk, which requires me to rebuild my desk. Anyway, that's more information than you needed. I do occasionally stream on Twitch, and I am Denethar01, or I will sometimes stream on YouTube, which is also at Denethar01. And yeah, so sorry. Just like going off on a tangent. That'll wrap it up for us today. Thank you so much. And remember to be good to each other out there. That's another player on the other side of that keyboard. So, make sure you smile and treat them kindly. It's okay to look out for yourself as well. And, if you're in a toxic Panther Plus group, go ahead and leave. But you don't need to shout out and be nasty back. You can just go, well, you know what? This person is probably miserable. So, anyway. Make sure you're having positive interactions if you can. Be kind to each other. And I love you all. And I'll see you in Azeroth.